Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man, indeed it is Monty in the Morning. Jake's already all upset. We having all kinds of technical difficulties.
I hate when stuff doesn't work right.
It's the worst. It is, and tell me, by the way, not to start the show on a derailed matter, Tell me all weekend we haven't had technical difficulties.
It's just weird, so this morning, we post these cuts, we'll do the live stream and then we cut up the different topics we talk about, right? And the way we do that is we record the show onto an SD card, and I pull the SD card and everything works fine.
Everything's great.
Worked fine on Friday, and now all of a sudden, same process, nothing has changed, now it doesn't work. I don't know how that happens.
I don't know.
I have no idea. I'm starting to wonder if it's it's not the card. It concerns me about our equipment. That's what I'm most concerned about.
What worries you is the Mevo.
Yeah.
And that's why I say sometimes, we leave the Mevo on 24/7. It just sits here turned on.
Yeah.
So maybe we should consider turning it off. I don't know.
Yeah, we need to figure it out, because I can tell you right now, if it records one day, not the next, that's not a card issue.
Yeah.
And that's a new card, too. A brand new card.
Yeah, and by the way.
Yeah.
Now would not be the ideal time to, to buy a new Mevo.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying and stuff. But now everybody's like, hey, what happened? 8-second thing. I don't know what happened. Dante May says number one, baby. Yep, Jazz win the number one seed in the NBA for the playoffs, and now here we go. And so the question has to be asked, is it NBA championship or bust for the Utah Jazz? And I would tell you that it is. I think there is, without question, the expectation has to be higher now for the Utah Jazz. I understand that, hey, you've had injuries. None of that mattered, right? You won the number one seed. That's all that you needed to know. And we've said for weeks on this show that the Jazz are the best team in the Western Conference, and it would be a miracle if they didn't win the number one seed. Well, now we've won the number one seed if you're the Utah Jazz, and what I'd say is now you have to win an NBA championship or it's been a disappointing season. Do you agree or disagree with that, Jake?
I disagree on some level. I think, you're going to be disappointed if you don't win a championship. That kind of goes without saying. But I also think expectation-wise for this team, I think that headed into the postseason, I don't think people are quite ready for the difference in style of basketball that this team is going to have to play. And so that's why I say when you're playing half-court matchup basketball against the best teams in the West, I'm not going to sit here and say that we should be disappointed if they don't win a championship. If you don't make a finals appearance, yeah, you're probably going to be pretty disappointed. Probably going to be pretty let down, I would think that you'd be able to at least win the West. But if you consider, you win the West and in the finals you're playing the Nets, let's say, I don't think you can sit here and be like, oh, well, we're disappointed we didn't win an NBA championship. The Nets, to me, are a better team. So that's where I kind of am like, well, is it unfair? Is the expectation too high at that point? That's the only question that I would have in terms of at what point should we be disappointed versus at what point should we say, hey, this was a great season, we just couldn't pull through.
Well, I don't think there's any other way to look at it. You either win a championship or you're disappointed. I mean, how do you get into a better position than you're in right now to win an NBA championship? I don't know that you can do that. And furthermore, I would say you're talented enough to win a championship. Certainly, there's a lot of questions right now around Donovan Mitchell and when Don's going to be back. I thought it was interesting over the weekend. The narrative seems to have changed a little bit. Oh, he'll be back for the first round. That's why he missed the last week of the season. Oh, wait. Well, we hope he's back. He may miss a game or two. When's Donovan Mitchell coming back? I think that's the number one question we need answered right now, because if he misses any part of the first round, I think this is going to become exponentially more difficult because I do think that you are going to wind up you're probably going to miss the Lakers in that first round, but it almost doesn't matter who that eighth seed is. You're going to have a difficult road to hoe in the first probably two rounds of the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that we've seen, what this team, when this team struggles without Don, we've seen what that looks like, and I think, last night against the Kings, there were a lot of times where I was like, man, they're not going to get a lot of these looks against the best teams in the NBA. They're not going to get these wide open threes. They're not going to get all these turnovers that the Kings were giving them. So, I just think about, in the postseason when you get punched in the mouth, right? You're down 15 going to the half. What's the reaction to that? How are you going to come back from that? And that's where Donovan Mitchell really plays a key role, because it's going to happen. This team no team is going to be able to play in front the entire postseason. That's just not realistic. And so this team, without Donovan Mitchell, that's where I would have some concern. Like, hey, if you're down in a game of consequence, how exactly are you going to come back? Because you don't have a guy on this team outside of maybe, Jordan Clarkson, assuming that he's having a great night. Outside of Jordan Clarkson, you don't necessarily have a guy on this team that's going to be able to give you that overpowering performance, Like we've seen Bogey do it from time to time, but we've never really seen him pop off in the postseason, So I don't know. I just think that this team, I think it's unfair to say the expectation should be that they're going to win a championship. I think the expectation should be that they're going to be in the finals, and we go from there based on the matchup.
I don't believe in fair or unfair. I think in sports it is what it is, and we've talked all season long, and this team's talked all season long about higher expectations. I think that, frankly, you didn't do enough, and it's well chronicled on this show. We don't feel like you did enough to add to this team. None of that matters now. You have the number one seed, home court advantage throughout. There's no excuse to lose now, because you have the best home court advantage in the NBA, and you have home court advantage throughout. There's no reason to lose. I don't care if it's the Nets. I don't care if it's Jesus Christ and Joseph Smith on point for the team you're playing in the finals. There's no reason. Well, there's no reason for this Utah Jazz team to lose, in my opinion. And furthermore, I would say this: what should the bar be to not make changes? Because I have real reservations, and I want to make this real clear. I don't believe that the Jazz are going to win the Western Conference. I don't. I think that the Lakers, the Clippers, I think a healthy Denver Nuggets team that's going to be well rested. I think those three teams give them everything that they can handle. And I'll flat out say, if LeBron James, and we're going to talk about his ankle in a minute, if LeBron James is healthy and you have Anthony Davis and you have all of this depth, I don't know if anybody paid attention. Or Thursday or Friday on the show, we had a bunch of Jazz fans saying, well, Andre Drummond doesn't fit what the Jazz do. We wouldn't want him here. Well, I don't know anybody that doesn't want a shot-blocking, rebounding machine who can also give you 20 points a night on a pretty regular basis. I don't know how that doesn't fit in. Yeah. Did anybody see what Andre Drummond did the last two games for the Lakers? He played a role. He played defense. Yep. He blocked shots. He rebounded. He outlet passed. It's everything that the Lakers need. By the way, you know who didn't play a lot this weekend because of that? Montrezl Harrell. They're so deep right now, the Lakers, that Montrezl Harrell isn't having to play heavy minutes at the center, because now you've got LeBron, AD, and Andre Drummond as your starting three bigs. I don't know how the Jazz would match up with that.
Yeah.
I think that if the Lakers are healthy, if you didn't see it, LeBron James last night on essentially his last play of the game, why he was in the game at the end, I don't know. He tweaked that ankle that has been injured. He tweaked it landing on somebody's foot. And I just say to myself, why is he even in the game at that point?
Right. Yeah.
That's amazing, because, Jake, I'll say straight away, I think the Lakers are the best team in the Western Conference if he's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think, on paper, there's no doubt they're the best team. And then you look at what they do on the floor and with execution and how they play the game. And they're going to play a difficult style of basketball for the Jazz to defend, because they're going to be physical. And they are going to be able to out-rebound the Jazz in the paint, which is going to lead to a lot of high-percentage looks. And again, I'll just say, if you're a Jazz fan and you're saying, well, this team would just be able to shoot. Like, we'll be able to shoot all these threes and we'll be fine. I would encourage you to go look at some Lakers game tape, go look at what their roster provides them in terms of perimeter defense, and you're going to start to see that the Lakers are an elite team, not only because of their offensive game, but because of their defensive game. Everybody seems to forget how dominant of a defensive team they were last year before they had Drummond on the roster. Now that they have Drummond on the roster, now that provides Vogel and company with so much flexibility with what they can do with matchups, that even if you had, Rudy going for, 30 and 20, I still think that the Lakers would be in control of that game. And I say that because the Lakers are going to run the Jazz off the three-point line. They're going to funnel them into Anthony Davis and Andre Drummond, and you're going to have a tough time scoring. That's what I think the challenge is. So if you're the Jazz, you got to figure out how exactly you're going to deal with that and like what you're going to do to combat that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to couch my words, and I probably shouldn't. Mm-hmm. I don't see a good matchup for the Clippers or the Lakers. If you're the Utah Jazz, I don't see how you match up well to win a game against the Clippers or the Lakers. Mm-hmm. I think we've seen Kawhi Leonard's back. Paul George is back. I think we're seeing Ivica Zubac is playing probably the best basketball of his career. I think when Patrick Beverley's on the floor for them, they're a different team. I also think, by the way, Rajon Rondo is an incredibly underrated piece for them. He is, with his experience, with his ability to take pressure off of all the other guards, his ability to facilitate, yes, but he doesn't need to score to be the most important player on the floor. And that's very rare in the NBA. Most guys, Steph needs to score, LeBron needs to score, Donovan needs to score. Rondo doesn't need to score to take the Clippers from good to great. And I think that's why I say they're underrated. I think we saw a Nuggets team that was out of gas. They didn't even try to win the game last night. They didn't play their starters in the second half. I think everybody's just playing for seeding.
Yeah.
And now we've done that. And now you're starting to see, hey, this is how we're going to go. And now Wednesday, Lakers and Warriors at Staples Center. I think this is going to be a really important week for the Jazz. And they're not going to play a game. But this week is going to be critically important to their championship hopes. And if you're a Jazz fan, I don't see how you're not rooting for the Warriors to win or for the Lakers to win that game. You want the Lakers to be 7, not 8.
Yeah, I completely agree. You don't want to see the Lakers in the first round. You want to see the Warriors. And if that can happen, then I think you have a relatively easy matchup. Like, yes, Steph is going off. Yes, I do think he is the MVP. That is a different conversation. But my point is that if you're the Jazz and you're looking at which of these teams you want to play in the first round, you definitely want to see the Warriors in the first round. At that point, you'll be rested. They still would have had to play. And I know for a fact, and if you watch the Jazz, you know for a fact that when they're rested, they shoot a hell of a lot better. So,
yes.
So that series I feel like would be probably a 5-gamer. I think they'd probably dominate that series overall. But man, if they see the Lakers in the first round, there is some serious risk in that series.
And again, I would just ask, is there any question the play-in tournament worked? Like I think this is, when we talk about sports, inventions, innovation, marketing, this is why Adam Silver is the commissioner of the NBA. This is why he was hired. Adam Silver's a guy that comes from a marketing background, and all we've seen is him come in with new ways to draw fans to the TV. And I don't think there's any doubt that he put new views on phones. Twitter was blown up. You look at the streaming numbers for the NBA. I mean, all of that stuff is really strong. And considering you lopped off 10 games off the schedule, I mean, it's pretty remarkable that the NBA has this much interest and this much buzz. Twitter yesterday was absolutely all NBA, and I think justifiably so. I look at the standings and the matchups in the West. I think the Jazz absolutely want Golden State. Mm-hmm. By the way, that would set up Suns and Lakers.
Yeah.
That'd be all right.
Yeah, it would be all right. I think if you're
that'd be all
again,
right.
If you're the Jazz, you want the Lakers to take out other teams. You don't you don't want again in that first matchup where the Jazz and the Suns were both 100%, the Suns end up winning that game. Now, would they win a series? I don't know, but I'm just saying the Suns are more than capable of beating the Utah Jazz. I think we can all agree on that. So that's why I say you want. Basically, what you want here is you want to face Golden State because I think that'd be a 5-gamer for this Jazz team. I think they'd take care of business in that series.
Yes.
But the bigger reason would be you want the Lakers to have to go to hell and back before they see you in the Western Conference Finals. Hopefully, they rack up some nagging injuries. Hopefully, they're tired. Hopefully, they're beat up. And then you can just take them, you can just go to town on them. And hopefully you win it in 6 and you're moving on.
Yeah, and I think the real thing, if you're coming from the Jazz perspective here, the real important thing is that you get a lot of rest. because I think we saw, even, last night we saw, again, I'll say Joe Ingles looks like he's running on some heavy legs. It was really nice to have Mike Conley back in the lineup. You're looking at a guy in Rudy Gobert who I think takes a pretty good physical pounding on a regular basis. This week off is really going to help them. I don't think there's any question that Bojan Bogdanovic, that shot looked a little flat last night. These guys are looking forward to some time off, and I think they've earned it. And I think being the number one seed puts you in that position. They have everything you need to win a championship now, and that's why I say the expectation should be NBA championship. Anything short of winning the first ring in the history of this organization, and anything short of going, I mean, look, you're going to be, how do I say that? Like, you don't want to feel like you felt after the Bulls' last series.
Yeah.
You don't want to feel like you felt when Jordan hit that shot. Anything short of an NBA championship is going to hurt.
Do you know what that's like these days?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. And the other thing that I'll say to you is, if you lose you're not going to lose in the first round of the playoffs. I don't see any way that they lose. I mean,
Listen,
I can't see Golden State beating the Lakers on Wednesday night. I just don't see how that.
I don't.
The Lakers would have to play terrible ball.
Yeah, I don't see it either, and that's why I say again. I think if you're the Jazz, you're fine. But at the same time, again, I want to caution Jazz fans, like, when you're playing the Lakers, the Clippers, or the Nuggets, anything can happen with those three teams. Those three teams have the ability to beat anybody in the league. The Jazz or otherwise, and so that's why I say, you're going to have to go through two of those teams to get to the finals.
Absolutely.
I would rather see them go through the Nuggets and the Clippers rather than the Lakers, but that's just me.
Kayal, says, why aren't you reading my comments? I was the first guy in today. Well, actually, you weren't.
You like how bitter that comment is?
Yeah.
I was the first one in. Read my damn comment.
Dante May said number one, baby.
Yeah.
Tanner Plummer says the Tangerine Twitter machine says hello. Hi, Tanner. Austin Parkins says the bare minimum after all these years of waiting, all the winning in the first half of the season, and then all the coasting in the second is making the NBA Finals. It may not be fair, but this team has been mediocre long enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're thirsty as a Jazz fan. Gabe Ledley says, good morning, fellas. What's up, Lopes fan Gabe? Hope you and little Lope and Mrs. Lope had a great weekend. Lewis Selder says, happy to be the underdog. Take note. I think Jazz fans are happy to be the underdog. And I think it is interesting. And I think this is part of being the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
You're never going to get the respect that you deserve. Most NBA people do not watch the Jazz bounce in and bounce out. They don't. They don't watch every game. They're not into it the way you as a Jazz fan are, or we as guys who cover this team are into it. The Jazz are fully capable, and this is the part that you need to digest. The Jazz are fully capable of winning a championship. So if you don't, it's disappointing. You had the number one seed going into the playoffs because you had the best record in the NBA. If you come up short, anything short of a championship should be incredibly disappointing to Jazz fans. When have you ever had the best record in the NBA?
Yeah.
That's right, never.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't win a championship now, it's a disappointment for sure. James Knight said, if you want to be the best, you need to beat the best. If the Jazz are good enough, they will beat whoever they face in the first round. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. No question about it. Ace says, you guys really think that they want Steph and the Golden State Warriors? Oh, I
versus the Lakers?
Versus the Lakers?
Yeah, I do.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. There is no doubt that a better matchup for Rudy is the Golden State Warriors. It doesn't matter who they put at center.
Yeah.
I mean, who do you think the best big for Golden State is? It's probably Draymond.
Yeah,
frankly.
probably. Yeah.
Right? I mean, if that's who you start at the 5, okay, you're probably in a little bit better position there. But I almost think you don't have a winnable matchup against the Lakers. And I'm not deferring, or I'm just telling you, if you run your 5 best Lakers out versus your 5 best Utah Jazz men, I think the Lakers are the better team. And I actually think it would be a very close, hard-fought game. I don't think there's a team in the playoffs that's going to blow the Jazz out. But, man, I look at the Lakers. They're big and they're physical, and the Jazz always struggle with that. You obviously, nobody has a matchup for Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
But, okay, so let's say that Anthony Davis and Donovan Mitchell, if he plays, cross each other out. Okay, well then Jordan Clarkson and LeBron James, production-wise? Do they cross each other out? Okay, all right, that's cool. Well, now you have a bunch of other guys like who's gonna, like
Bogdanovich.
But that's my point. You're gonna rely on Bojan Bogdanovich to win you a championship.
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting down to because your depth is how you're gonna win if you're the Jazz, and if you can get Conley and Donovan to stay healthy, Mike Conley's got to play because again, who have we seen when Mike Conley's out? Oni and Forrest and guys who just shouldn't be playing in the postseason. They're not there yet. They're not ready.
Yeah.
I don't see a matchup against the Lakers or the Clippers where the Jazz would be favored or would win. Mm-hmm. That's the thing that bothers me most. Here we go. Jake says, here we go. Lakers are the best. We get it. But tell me I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, where are we wrong? Explain it.
Because my feeling is if LeBron, and this ankle's a big question, he looked fabulous yesterday. And then for whatever reason, he's in the game late and he tweaks that right ankle again.
Yeah.
So if he plays and he's as close to 100% as he's physically possible to be, you tell me how the Jazz are better than the Lakers. A full-force Jazz team, a full-force Lakers team. There's not a soul on earth that's taken the Jazz in that matchup.
Yeah.
With all due respect. Austin Parkins says, I don't care for the play-in tournament. Only the Western Conference 9 and 10 even belong in the playoff conversation, and the tourney just makes the 1 and 2 seeds round ones even easier due to extra fatigue. Well, but you've earned that.
Yeah.
You've earned that. Being the top 2 seeds. By the way, again, I actually disagree with you. Nobody wants the Lakers. Nobody wants the Lakers.
Yeah.
Sorry. If they're the 7th seed, do you think the Suns would want the Lakers? No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. Green Dwarf says, hi from Croatia. Jazz go to the finals. What's up, Croatia? I hope you're right. I think Jazz fans have earned a return to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, it's been long enough.
I really do.
Yeah.
Tanner Plummer says, I love your objectivity on the Jazz, but I feel like you don't extend the same objectivity to other NBA teams. I could be wrong. What do you guys think?
Well, what team?
You'd have to give us an example of that.
What team are you referencing?
There's not a, again, find me one of the top 6 teams in the NBA, especially out West. And I'll give you my objective take on it. How can I be more objective?
I don't know. Yeah.
Tennis player says the Lakers are clearly the better team. Just looking at starting 5, if I'm the Lakers, I give the game to the Warriors and then win game 2 to get the Jazz. Well, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
I don't think. Again, I don't think anybody's looking to play the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, NBA teams don't go around saying, "Hey, we want to play the number 1 seed." I mean, I think if your NBA teams go around saying, "Okay, what's the most efficient route to the NBA Finals?" That's what they're.
It's not through Utah. I can tell you that.
It's not. Yeah. So
because I don't think people. This is probably how you know we're doing it right. Brett said, "Where'd it go?" Sorry.
Here we go. Here we go.
Brett says, you guys are way over the top on the Jazz. This is not the best home court advantage. Okay, Brett, give me a better home court advantage than the Vivint.
Didn't they say that they're opening it to full capacity for the playoffs?
I don't know. I didn't see that. I know they're expanding it.
I feel like I heard that maybe they're going to be close to full capacity, but they're definitely adding more people to the crowd for the playoffs, no doubt.
I think Vivint Arena is the best home court advantage in the NBA, and I've been to most NBA arenas at this point. I think, Chase Center is not the advantage that Oracle was. If the Warriors were still at Roracle Arena,
insane, dude.
That is the best home court advantage in the NBA. Now they play in a palatial, spacious plaza known as Chase Center in San Francisco. It's not the same home court advantage.
We get it. They won all that money from the championships.
It's not the same home court advantage. You come to the Viv, and I'm telling you right now, Vivint Arena, when it's full, even when it was what was it, 35% full maybe?
Yeah, not even half.
It was loud, and it was intimidating. We were there for Bojan's 48-point game against Denver. Mm-hmm. That place was lit. Yep. It was on fire. And my point is, home court advantages across the NBA have shrunk now because of the pandemic. But if you look at Phoenix, doesn't have a home court advantage.
No.
With all due respect, the Suns Arena is beautiful. It's new. That's not a home court advantage.
I feel
Denver?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Like I just find me the home court advantage. Staples Center for the Lakers and the Clippers. Like
I think though, like, what makes a great home court advantage is how plugged in the fans are, and that's what I think is a separating factor for Jazz fans. They're very plugged into the team, and I think that Vivint gets small very quickly if you're the opposition. It gets small, it gets intimidating, it gets loud, it gets very compact, and that's what I think the Jazz are going to be looking to create for the postseason, and that's why I say, like, I don't know. I mean, of course, you could, the Garden, I guess, maybe, or, I don't know, man. There's other options, of course, but I just think that the way Jazz fans go about it, they are next level for the most part.
Yeah, they Get Up is on ESPN. We have it on in the background. 6:46 to go. The Lakers are up 12. LeBron on a gimpy ankle with no way to improve your playoff position is still in the game, and I don't get it. I just don't. I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. Lewis Selder says they're opening up a ton more seats, but not 100% exactly. Liberty Return says 70%. Tennis player says Andre Drummond will dominate. And Rudy Bogert. Well, see, Eric and Raleigh likes to compare. Do I even get into this? I probably don't even. Andrew Bogut was a really good player until he got hurt.
Yeah.
Okay? Rudy Gobert is a superior defender.
Rudy Gobert is probably twice the player that he was.
That Bogut was. Yeah, and listen, I think... No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the Rudy conversation today. I'm not here for that. I'm not here for all the heat. I'm just not. I'm just not doing it. Forgotten Souls. Yeah, thank you. Forgotten Soul says, if you don't think that the Jazz have the best home court advantage, then you must go to a game. Yeah, I don't know what else I've never been to when that arena is full, and even if it's 50% or 70%, I don't know what the number is. I think you're looking at, if there's 13,000 fans at Vivint Arena, it's over.
Bro.
That's the best home court advantage in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is what it is. The Two King says, I just want to see my backcourt play a beautiful game. Well, there's something to that. Tanner Plummer says, give me your objective take on Denver. My objective take on Denver is they're missing a bunch of guards, and I think they need to get healthy in the backcourt. And I think if they can return to health, I think Denver is arguably the third best team in the West. I mean, they can give you all you want. I think Nikola Jokic is the MVP, although I think Steph probably is more deserving. I think MPJ's development this year has been nothing short of spectacular. And I think they miss depth at the guard position. There is, I mean, Jermichael Green is giving them a really big contribution. I just think Campazzo is not good enough to compete as a starting point guard.
Yeah.
I mean, it is that simple. And I'm not even saying get Jamal Murray back. But I think you have to find a way. If you're Denver, the only reason they didn't win 50 games is because they have so many injuries at the guard.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at PJ Dozier, he's their best defensive player. He's out. Will Barton out. You look at these key contributors for them, and I don't know why there's been a dearth of hamstring injuries. But you look at all the guys rocking hamstring injuries this year. They're hard to come back from.
Yeah, I think the hamstring thing is happening because guys just have too many miles on their legs. Literally, I think the offseason was short. I think we're coming down to the end of the year here. If you're a postseason team, we're coming down to the end of the year here, and I think that the body can only take so much. And I think that the thing for the Nuggets is losing Jamal Murray isn't just losing his production; it's losing his leadership in the huddle. And I think that in that Jazz game that we were at when they played the Nuggets and Bogey went off for 48, the Nuggets weren't even particularly concerned that Bogey had 48. To be honest,
not
with you.
really.
Not they didn't really even care about that based on what I saw. More what they were worried about was the fact that they were just as a team struggling to execute offensively because they did not have a strong point guard presence, and that I think is what the bigger loss of Jamal Murray is. Not only does he calm you down in the huddle, He understands the matchups. He understands how they're going to go about exploiting the weaknesses of the Jazz. And I truly believe if he had played, it would have been a completely different game. And so going into this postseason for the Nuggets, I think Austin Rivers has to do his job and not turn the ball over, and Jokic is going to have to be superhuman.
But you know who's got to do his job? Michael Malone's got to do his job.
Yeah,
I was a little surprised the last 2 weeks of the season that you have the MVP and you really relegated him to a distributor. And my feeling on Nikola Jokic is, especially in that Jazz game, when they really needed buckets, what did they do? Mm-hmm. They put him in the high post or the post extended. It was really effective. The problem is you did that like 4 times, and then you kind of wrote the game off.
Yeah.
You cannot have, and this goes back to guard play in Denver. I don't think you win. You don't go deep into the playoffs without Will Barton. It really is that simple. You need somebody to get Jokic off the ball. Mm-hmm. You can't. And again, I love Austin Rivers. I think it was long overdue to put him into the starting lineup. But Michael Malone, I don't understand the thought process on like rotations.
I think that, I spent a lot of time just thinking about this and pondering it. And the only thing that I've really been able to come up with is that he put Jokic into a distribution role simply because he wanted to lower injury risk and he wanted to lower the load that was on Jokic. And I think that they also, and I don't like this, I'm not a particularly big fan of this strategy, but I think they also kind of accepted their fate as, hey, this is the seed we're going to have.
I think this is the seed they wanted.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that they wanted the 3rd seed. And I think when you look at, like, I go back to the Nets game, and I look at the way they lost that game 125-119, it's because they got nothing off their bench from the guard spot. Like Shaq Harrison gave them 2. That's you look at Howard gave him 13, but he was a -9 because he just doesn't have that extra gear right now. So if Will Barton plays in that game and he starts and Austin Rivers comes off the bench and in the Jazz game he was like 5 of 9 from 3.
Yeah, he had a huge game from 3. Yeah,
I mean that's what Austin Rivers' job is: distribute, drive, kick, and get the ball back and shoot a 3. That's what they're missing. So
agreed.
Anyway, that's my objective take on the
Denver Nuggets.
I think that's what they wanted. That's what they wanted.
Yeah,
they wanted. In my opinion, I think they wanted to be. I don't think they wanted the number 2 seed, and I think it's a really smart play because I think everybody's pretty convinced that the Lakers are going to be the 7th seed.
Yeah,
and I think when you look at the Western Conference standings right now, if it all ended today, you're getting 1-8 would be Golden State Jazz, 2-7 would be Phoenix Lakers,
epic,
and then you have 3-6 would be the Nuggets and the Blazers. And I'm telling you, the Nuggets have a huge advantage in that series.
Yeah.
That's exactly where you want to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. And I look at the Clippers, by the way, a 4-5 Clipper Maverick matchup.
Pretty good. So then you would expect, I'm not predicting, but you would expect that it would then be Clippers Nuggets moving on to the next round.
You would expect. I think Nuggets Blazers is exactly. That's going to be a really good series.
Yeah.
And my feeling is that you're going to have the Nuggets beat the Blazers, and I think you're going to have the Clippers beat the Mavericks.
Yep.
And I think at that point, all bets are off because I think the Jazz are going to beat Golden State. Because I just don't see Golden State losing to I mean, Memphis gives you all you want.
Yeah, but they ain't going to lose in that.
I just don't think they have. John Morant can't finish on his own.
Yeah.
He can't win a game on his own.
Yeah.
And I think Steph Curry showed you that he doesn't, A, have to win a game on his own, and B, I think when you look at San Antonio, I just don't think they have the firepower to stay with some of these faster, younger teams. So I think Golden State winds up in the 8.
Yeah.
I think the Jazz win that series. I think the Lakers and Suns, I don't know what more you want in an opening round series.
I still think the Lakers are going to win that series, just to be clear. But I think it'll be a great series.
Boy, no, I'm not doing the Devin Booker thing either. I'm not doing it. I'm not.
What are you, nuts?
Yeah, Jake, can you be objective about Kevin Durant? Well, from what I saw yesterday, I don't know.
Rack attack!
I don't know how you are. Did you guys see the Nets yesterday? So, by the way, everybody who piled on me and said I'm an idiot, and I can't remember who it was who called me an idiot for saying Mike James is a guy the Jazz should have wanted. Mm-hmm. What Mike James is doing for the Brooklyn Nets, I mean, is remarkable. You're going to play a highlight, and I don't know what it is.
It's the highlight.
Oh, it's the highlight.
Yeah,
okay.
I got it.
So yesterday in the Nets game, there is arguably the best fast break I think I've ever seen the Nets run. And it is Blake Griffin with a behind-the-back pass to Kyrie, who throws it to Mike James, who's got an open layup. Mike James doesn't take the layup. Instead, he does this.
11-second difference, shot clock to game clock. Dotson loses it, walking the tightrope. Oh, Blake Griffin! Razzle-dazzle! Oh, next level! Kevin Durant, the rack attack, and one of the highlights of the year!
What a run on the Yes Network right there. Iron Eagle with the call. I'm telling you, Mike James is absolutely a difference maker for that team.
Razzle-dazzle!
I mean, he's hitting threes. So the idea that Mike James has been on the Brooklyn Nets for a month, he never turned his head back to look at Kevin Durant. So I'm with you, Jake. We were talking about this in the all-important pre-show meeting.
The behind the scenes.
I said, well, how does Mike James even know he's there? And you're like, oh, he was yelling, he's yelling. Mike James never looks back, throws it off the window, and Durant rises up and hammers that ball home. I mean, I don't know. Mike James, it has been
unbelievable. Dude.
Unbelievable.
Honestly,
for
it's
them.
unbelievable.
And you look at the two guys that made that play happen, Blake Griffin and Mike James. By the way, both free agent pickups.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, maybe not Blake, Andre Drummond and Mike James would be unbelievable additions. I think the Utah Jazz would be an NBA champion if they had added Andre Drummond. Mm-hmm. Mike James gets them a hell of a lot closer, but I think that the Nets are the best team in the NBA.
Yeah.
I mean, the ball they're playing. Now, Kyrie's got to stop losing his mind, and I'm hesitant to get into Kyrie over this.
You need to get in. No.
Kyrie Irving the other day refused to talk to the media about basketball because he said there's just too much other stuff going on in the world. Look at what's going on in Palestine between Israel and the Palestinians. Mm-hmm. And obviously, for those of you who don't know, they're basically at war. They're bombing each other. Not basically, they are at war.
Yeah.
And Kyrie Irving's like, I'm not talking about basketball. There's too much other stuff that's way more important. I'm not here to talk basketball. And with all due respect, he's right. I mean, what's going on in Palestine is far more important than the NBA. But you're paid tens of millions of dollars every year to play basketball and talk about basketball. That's your job. Now, if you want to do that and then say, hey, by the way, you know, I'm glad we talked Nets basketball and we're great, but I also want you to know that what's going on with Israel and Palestine is heavy on my heart and my mind, and I'm thinking about that a lot today. Okay, I have no problem with that. Enes Kanter does that all the time with what's going on in Turkey with him and his dad. But you can't sit here, Kyrie, and lose your mind and say that I'm not talking basketball. Like, he's the thing that worries me most because I will say, now that I've seen Kevin Durant play 3 full games, he's by far their most important player. When that guy, like yesterday, he was absolutely locked in. Like, guys in his face against Cleveland, like Jared Allen is guarding him at the 3-point stripe, doesn't matter. Rise up, put some more arc on it, and it is hitting nothing but the bottom.
Whatever.
Like, Kevin Durant, when he's locked, he's their most important player. I look at James Harden and the role he's taken, stepping back, not really concerning himself, with being their leading scorer. It's simply remarkable.
I thought, that culture, they clearly have a culture in Brooklyn where they're saying, hey, it's not about me, it's about us as a team.
Yes.
I think in the first half, Kevin Durant kind of exemplified that, and I think it also applies to James Harden. You're 100% right. I mean, Kevin Durant's got, I think he had 9 assists and 10 points at the half, and then he rolls out with like 15 or 20 points in the second
86.
half. So like
He scored 86 points in the second half.
So when I say, hey, the expectation is that the Jazz should get to the finals, not win the finals, that's why. Because I just feel like the Brooklyn Nets have just above and beyond talent that the Jazz don't have. And that's where I say, okay, what are you going to do to stop three of the best scorers in the world? What does that look like? How are you going to stop Kyrie Irving from hitting threes from the logo? How are you gonna stop James Harden from driving, kicking? What does that look like?
I don't think it's a stop guy thing. And there's a lot of people like Brandon Whiteside saying glad Blake, what did he say, mailed it in to get to the Nets. How exciting is it that we have a league of wannabe Blake, AD, Harden, and the list goes on, losers?
See, you're just hating because they're not on the Jazz. That's what that is. That's all that is.
Blake Griffin did not mail it in. I would remind you that the Pistons cut him and then tried to cut him off at the knees by telling people he was physically unable to play. Like, why do you think every time he dunks, he makes a big deal out of it? Because the Detroit Pistons put it out there that Blake Griffin could no longer jump and couldn't dunk anymore. Like, they were telling other general managers, hey, he can't dunk anymore. And all he's done since he got to the Nets is been on a mission to prove the Pistons wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't think he, whatever you said, mailed it in. And if I'm Mike James, what did Mike James do other than put himself in what he thought was the best position to win a championship?
Yeah, how exactly did he bag it in or mail it in? Because he was just, he was only just the MVP of the EuroLeague, and then he's come over here and he's been exactly what the Nets needed. So that's why I say you guys should not hate on these guys. Those are key additions to that team. That if they hadn't done that, they'd be a completely different team. They wouldn't be where they are.
That's the structure of the NBA now. Like, you're ripping James Harden. And again, I understand why Jazz fans hate this player-driven culture, because there is a stigma around playing in Salt Lake City, especially if you're black, that you're not, Salt Lake City's not your first choice to play NBA basketball. Look, right. I get that. But if you think James Harden did something wrong, or James Harden, I think, had a falling out in Houston.
Yeah.
Everybody had a falling out in Houston. He just happens to get the most heat because he's the best player on their team. But if you look at Chris Paul, if you look at, wasn't Austin Rivers at one point a Houston Rocket?
Yes.
That team fell apart after what happened in China, period.
Yep.
So I don't put that on him. It is what it is, man. Like, I think you have to get over that a little bit.
Yeah.
John Mulvaney says Mike James is just 38% career field goal shooter. Mike James is not the same player he was when he was a Phoenix Sun.
I'm telling you guys, go on YouTube and search Mike James, Brooklyn Nets. You guys want to sit here and tell us, hey, this guy's not legit? And yeah, on paper, sure, 38%. But that 38% looks like 45% the last month. So I don't know. Maybe we're just idiots, and maybe we don't know what we're talking about, and we don't watch basketball. I get it. But Mike James is one of the best additions this league has had this season. The fact that they had the thought in their head, hey, let's go check out the EuroLeague MVP. He played for the Suns. He did some nice things. But they let him go because, for whatever reason, I don't know why. I mean, they were a really bad organization at that point. So, hey, he got cut from the NBA. What did he do? He didn't cry and moan about it. He just went overseas and won the MVP award of the second best league in the world. So that's why I'm saying this guy is what you're seeing right now. He is a cold-blooded killer in terms of scoring. That's what you'll see in the overseas tape. Here, he understands his role, and that's why he's a special addition.
He's had half a dozen spectacular moments.
Yeah.
That fall away three in the corner in like his second game.
Yeah.
That's what earned him a bunch of minutes. And then that play under the basket, and now this lob to Kate.
Just go watch it. Don't take our word for it. I'm telling you,
look at it.
Don't take our word for it. Go search Mike James, Brooklyn Nets highlights.
Yep.
Just go look at it. That's all I'm saying you guys should do.
Ace says, I'd rather have Conley over James. Well, I think everybody would, but Mike Conley's not healthy.
Yeah.
Mike Conley, the thing, again, you're trying to compare apples to oranges. Mike Conley, when he's healthy, even at this advanced age, Mike Conley is still one of the best point guards in the NBA. He's an elite three-point shooter. The problem is he's never healthy.
By the way, you're also comparing a starter to a bench guy, right?
Yeah.
Mike James is not going to be. You wouldn't add Mike James to start. Mike James is
A backstop.
Is the Jordan Clarkson of the Brooklyn Nets, except he is a much better passer and he's a much better team guy. Whereas Jordan is a pure scorer, and that's his role.
Yeah. To me, it seems that Kyrie's had something on his... Oh, wow. Sorry. We just got a dump of comments. Sorry. To me, it seems that Kyrie has had something on his mind all year, Sean Miersinski says.
I agree.
Yeah, well, and by the way, again, don't forget that he went through a faith revolution. I mean,
God bless.
Yeah, he converted to Islam during the season, fasted during Ramadan, missed time to do that. Like, there's been quite a change in the life of Kyrie Irving. Man, I apologize. There are a ton of comments.
YouTube tends to bring all the comments together and then just dump them in the comments section.
Yeah, and it blows things up, so I'm just going to kind of pick up where they put it. Jordan McDonald says Western Conference Finals are bust. Nah.
I think it's more.
I think you have to get to the NBA Finals, and I guess I agree with somebody who had said it's how you lose in the finals that's as important as whether you lose.
Totally agree.
If you get swept by the Brooklyn Nets, okay, I totally get that. Mitch says, do you guys think the Nets are really the best team? What about Drew Holiday and the Bucks? Well,
okay, this is a great point. I love that you brought the Bucks up.
What do you do if you're the Bucks in a half-court offense? You need a bucket. Where are you going? Well, you're not going to Giannis, probably.
Chris Middleton.
I think you're probably running a mid-range jumper for Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
And I think this is why you have issues with teams that are one-trick ponies, meaning your best player can't do something. Giannis can't shoot threes, and he's gotten better, but you can defend him in half court.
Yeah.
You're not going to see Wild West freewheeling, hey, Giannis didn't dribble from half court, look at that dunk. You're not seeing that in the playoffs.
Rack attack!
Yeah, you're not seeing that from Giannis in the playoffs.
Yeah.
For the last couple of years, that's very clearly been the game plan. I think if you look in the East, like, I don't even know who your contenders would be, because I don't think that Brooklyn's better than, or I don't think that Milwaukee's better than Brooklyn. I think the Knicks are in a real precarious situation with the Atlanta Hawks.
The Knicks are a nice story, but that's coming to an end. I'm just telling you now, that's coming to an end. They're not making even an Eastern Conference appearance, in my opinion.
Trae Young and Dame are very similar players in that you cannot defend their three-point shot, because if you press them at the line, they're just going to back up, and they're going to make it from further. And I think the Knicks are better than the Hawks, but it's not by a lot. If memory serves, and I can look, I think they have the exact same record. They do, 41-31. You know, the team that's really interesting to me right now is the Bucks and the Heat. Mm-hmm. I think the Heat, Bam Adebayo, is a better defender than Giannis Antetokounmpo is an offender. Mm-hmm. I think that Bam can handle him, and he showed last year that he can handle him. And you get a guy in Jimmy Butler that steps all the way up in the postseason. I look at Tyler Hero, who it's not accidental that Tyler Hero over the last couple of weeks has really started playing better basketball in that system.
Right.
I would not, if I'm the Bucks, I don't want the Heat.
Right. Yeah, I think, again, when we've been watching ESPN, we always have it on in the background before the show, while we're doing the show, whatever. ESPN made an interesting point about the Bucks, which is, hey, they've had the best regular season record, in the NBA the prior 2 years. Not this year, but the prior 2 years. And what do they have to show for it? They don't have anything to show for it. And that's why I say, it's great to be the number one seed in your conference or in the league, but you got to be able to do it in half-court sets where talent actually matters. Like last night, the Jazz are playing this game against the Kings, and I'm just sitting here saying, man, like the Kings are just saying, okay, how are we going to tie the bow? And then let's just hand it off to Mike Conley. Have a great win. Hope you enjoy the playoffs. That's what they did last night. They turned it over a bunch of times. The Jazz played transition basketball, and of course, they're going to knock down those open looks. That's what makes them a great team. And so my point here is that in the postseason, you're not getting those turnovers. You're not getting the transition bucket. You're not getting the bogey 3 wide open on the wing in transition. That's not happening for this team. Bogey's not putting up 50 in the postseason.
No.
That's not happening. And that's why I say when you look at the whether it is the East and we're talking about those teams, or whether you bring it back home and you look at, the Jazz matching up against, the Warriors, the Lakers, whoever, I'm just telling you guys, these are going to be absolute battles for this team for them to make a deep postseason run.
Philly is the biggest threat to Brooklyn, Jordan McDonald says. They can't stop Embiid.
I don't know who can.
Well, nobody's going to stop Embiid.
Yeah.
But again, Philadelphia is an interesting thing. Okay, well, go ahead. Let Embiid get his.
Who else?
But who else you got?
Yeah, because it ain't Ben Simmons.
I think they're very vulnerable. I look at Steve talking about how the Eastern Conference is boring. We all know who it's coming down to.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would say it's boring. You really think that you there's no question.
It's Brooklyn and who in the Eastern Conference Finals?
I don't know that I would agree with that. I think I look at Charlotte. There's going to be upsets. I'm telling you right now, there's going to be upsets in the playoffs.
Well,
And I think you look at Charlotte having to, Indiana, Charlotte, Charlotte losing that game yesterday to go all the way down to the 10 was really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a difficult team to play against. The Jazz are well aware of that. I think, by the way, the Boston Celtics, well, without Jalen, they're going to have a tough road. Boston Celtics can probably beat anybody. They've got 2 stars.
Yeah, but I just think that when you look at the East, the difference between the East and the West is that the West has 4 teams that could legitimately win a championship. I mean, legit could go on a run.
Sixers, Nets, and Bucks could all win the championship, in my opinion.
But we just sat here and said that the Bucks are not, they have a fatal flaw, which I agree with.
If Giannis is knocking down his jumper, that makes them a very difficult team to deal with. I mean, Drew Holiday, to the YouTube comment point, Drew Holiday is a nice upgrade from Bledsoe.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody doubts that. I don't know.
They're going to have to show that for me to believe in it, man. I need to see at some point the criticism of Giannis in the postseason needs to start happening because at some point this guy needs to stop winning regular season I'm the best player hoorah stuff, and he needs to start winning championships because they paid him to be the best. And again, this conversation, not to hate on Rudy, but this conversation is coming to him too. If they go out in the second round, this conversation is coming to him. Guarantee that.
You can't get paid the money that Rudy makes and not take heat.
Yeah, and that's why I say,
Can't do it.
He should win Defensive Player of the Year. He's not in the MVP conversation, but they as a team have to. There's more on the line for the Jazz right now than just winning the championship. And I know that the championship is what we all talk about, but think about this. Let's say that they get bounced in the Western Conference Finals. Let's just say that that's what happens, right? So what then happens to this roster? What then happens to, Mike Conley? What then happens to Royce O'Neal? What does Ryan Smith in this front office look for in the offseason?
It's time. Well, we probably shouldn't even get into that. If they don't, I'm telling you right now, if they don't make the Western Conference Finals at all, you got to blow this team up. The time for being loyal is over.
Who are the only untouchable for me would be Donovan Mitchell. Everybody else is available.
I would trade. Listen. I've said this 1,000 times. I'd trade Rudy Gobert as soon as he's eligible to be traded.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's
Not
a guy.
many people know about that, by the way.
Yeah, because of the contract and the earliest they could trade him.
Yeah.
And if you don't win a championship this year, you're going to make changes to this roster.
Yeah.
If you don't go to the Western Conference Finals, this season's a complete failure.
Yeah.
It is a complete and utter failure. The question is, how loyal do you want to be?
Now, on the flip side, let's say you do win a championship. Now the question is, okay, we're going to keep this roster mostly intact, but then who are you not loyal to? Because at some point, every team's going to get better, and the Jazz would still have to get better. So to me, the question then would be, okay, who are we not loyal to?
My question is, how long are you willing to absorb the inabilities of guys like Royce O'Neal? Of a guy like how much value does Joe Ingles really have to you in the long term?
In the long term, I don't think he's got a ton of value. Right now, he's got good value.
And I'm not telling you to blow Joe Ingles up. What I'm telling you is you have to start building better depth that's not named Trent Forrest.
Yeah.
You have to start building real depth into this team because you can't rely on Mike Conley after this year. If you bring Mike Conley back, it's a mistake.
Yeah.
There's no other way to look at this.
That's on you and nobody else.
If you don't upgrade your starting point guard, that's a mistake. No matter what happens to this team, you better upgrade the starting point guard.
Yeah.
Because it would be a mistake to stay with Mike Conley. Because now you're being loyal instead of being pragmatic.
Yeah.
Right? And I think...
Agreed.
But I think we're way ahead of it on that. I think this team has a real legitimate shot to win a championship. No. No, I'm not even Switzer. I'm not even going to read that. Forgotten Soul says, "Remember when Charlotte was the 4 seed earlier this year?" Yeah, and I also remember when LaMelo got hurt and went out.
Yeah,
and they kind of lost their way.
Yeah,
but they're as dangerous as anybody. They're as dangerous as anybody. Austin Parkins says, "If the Jazz won a title, I wouldn't be surprised if Ingles and Conley retired. They're both getting out there in this modern fast-paced They're both getting on there in this modern fast-paced league. Mike Conley can still play in this league.
Yeah.
The problem is he gets hurt way too much. And if you are, and again, just remember on the Monday of the play-in week, remember I said this, that this team will lose. If they lose, it will be because of guys like Conley, Bogdanovich, and Gobert. Those are your three, in my opinion, those are your three weakest links on this team. And I think that Donovan, all of this predicated on the fact that Donovan's actually going to play. Because I'm a little surprised.
Dude.
I'm a little surprised that Donovan Mitchell didn't play last week of the season.
This is concerning. We went from, I hope people realize this. We went from, oh, he's fine, he's great, everything's awesome, he's coming back in the first round. Great. We went from that to, hey, we're not sure when he's going to come back in the first round. So does that mean there's potential he won't play in the first round?
Nobody brought that up.
And that's, well, I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I have issues with the way this team is covered in the media, for sure.
Oh, there's no doubt about there is no doubt about that the Salt Lake City media gives the Jazz a free pass on most things because they're the only ticket in town.
Yeah.
Right? And if you are, and we went through this at K-Fan, there's no question about it. Like when we were looking at, are you keeping Enes Kanter? Are you keeping Derek Favors? Are you keeping... I'm telling you, we got ostracized, and the Jazz will never admit it, but Ben Anderson knows this. Like, Ben Anderson was excluded from a one-on-one with Dennis Lindsey. There was a beat media coverage one-on-one with Dennis Lindsey, and Ben Anderson was excluded from that on accident.
Yeah, okay.
No, it wasn't on accident. It's because at K-Fan we told the truth about the Jazz.
You don't want to be held accountable.
And you don't want to be held accountable. And they know that they carry considerable water in this town.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that I think you really have to look at is, and by the way, they own the flagship radio station.
Yeah.
So you're going to get.
That's one thing that annoys me about this town. There's one station, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
There's no competition. And then on that very station, you're sitting here saying Rodney Hood is still a Portland Trailblazer.
Yeah,
so that's embarrassing.
And we have to reconsider the way we talk about Joe Ingles because James Knight's just kicked it up a notch.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
He said, "Don't be dissing my man Jingles, Monty, or no 4X gold for you, my man."
Okay, fuck you. How's that?
Eric and Raleigh says, without Mitchell, the Jazz would get swept by the Lakers. I think there's a real good... I think if Donovan Mitchell doesn't play, I don't think he's that wrong.
They're not getting swept by anybody. They're not getting swept by anybody.
If this team that we saw the last month of the season, and I'm even saying Mike Conley's playing, if that team goes into a playoff series against a healthy Lakers, and when I say healthy, LeBron, AD, Drummond, Schroeder, like if those guys play, the Jazz would there'd be a good chance the Jazz wouldn't win a game in that series. Because I think the Lakers know how to win already.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. I think the Lakers would win the series, but I'm not sure I'm ready to say the Jazz would get swept out of that.
Yeah. They would not win that series.
Agreed.
That'd be a shocking upset.
Yeah. Somebody
if they won that series. Brent says, you guys are always looking at the worst side. Do you guys ever talk about the bright side of the moon?
Okay, what's the bright side of the moon? Help me.
I'm not an astronaut, so I don't talk about the moon much. But I think we just sat here and said they're the best team in the NBA, and the expectation should be NBA championship or bust. The name of the show today is, for the Utah Jazz, it's NBA championship or bust. So I don't know that I can be more positive than that.
Oh, he don't know nothing.
Your expectations are way over the top. So wait, okay, so
Wait, for the Jazz?
but this is my point then. Okay, is it NBA championship or bust, or is it, well, we're just happy to be here?
If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah, if you're not first, you're last, But the Jazz don't piss excellence. Okay,
I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
said Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets. My question for you is, okay, if my expectations are way over the top, what should the realistic expectations be then? What are the not over the top expectations? Well, we're just glad to be here. Let's have a picnic. Well, I got news for you. The NBA playoffs are not about picnics. It's about winning and doing so 12, 13 times.
Here's the deal. I'm the best there is.
Right? If you want to win a ring, you gotta win. Period. And if this team goes out in the first round, they won't. That would be a shocking end to a season for the team that's the number one seed, home court advantage throughout, and they have the best record in the NBA.
Yeah.
So what should the expectation be then?
Yeah.
You're the best team in the NBA.
By record, yeah.
You're telling me that you shouldn't expect to win a championship? Like
What should the expectation?
What are you talking about?
I'm legit asking this question. Like all the people in the comments, I'd love to hear some responses. Like, what do you guys think a reasonable expectation is? I mean, I truly believe if you feel like anything less than an NBA Finals appearance, I don't know what are we playing
How?
for? What are we doing here?
How?
Like what is? Like you were just saying, not to repeat everything you just said, but all those things he just said, the number
And
one
I'm
seed,
good-looking.
home court advantage, all that.
And
What's the
he's
point?
good-looking.
What's the point of doing all that if you're not going to go to the NBA Finals?
Thanks. Here's my question. If your expectations are not NBA Finals or bust, and really championship or bust, okay, what do you think the Lakers' expectations are?
Championship.
You think LeBron's going into the playoffs like, yeah, man, my ankle hurts. Let's go home.
Whatever.
He's not. What do you think Kevin Durant and James Harden are thinking? Well, I hope Kyrie shows up.
The rack attack!
But if he doesn't, guess what? We're still going to win a championship.
Razzle dazzle!
That's what they're thinking, right? What do you think any of these elite teams are thinking? Do you think the Denver Nuggets are like, yeah, we're not good enough to win? Well, I won the MVP. Cool. See you next year.
Pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
That's not what the Nuggets are thinking or the Clippers are thinking. If the Jazz are not thinking, if we don't win a ring, I am going to be incredibly disappointed. I mean, they shouldn't be here. If that's not their mindset, if that's not their own expectation, the Jazz are going out early.
How the fuck else would you do this job?
You can't do it any other way. You can't. I've been waiting for this. Trent says, oh, here come the F-bombs. Okay, so wait. Side note, more comments on the YouTube channel about us cursing.
Great. Cool.
So it is who we are. The comment on the YouTube channel, one of them, there were like 5 or 6 in the last couple of weeks.
Uh-huh.
You never used to curse on the radio.
Well, okay, wait. Let me clarify then. Clarification question. Do you guys get upset when he curses, like himself, or when
me?
I use curses in the drops? That's what I want to know.
Played like Tony Montana.
Tony Montana.
Tony, hey, guess what?
Okay, fuck you.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't like us cursing? I have one thing to say to you.
Yeah.
Okay, fuck you. How's that?
Thank you.
Sorry.
A, we're not on the radio.
Yeah, this is a podcast.
B, if we were on the radio, we probably wouldn't be cursing.
No,
we
definitely
would not
wouldn't
be cursing. We don't have rules. Tennis player says there are no bad words, only bad intentions. True.
Okay, fuck you. How's
True.
that?
Okay. Yowzer. Let's see. Okay, let me go back a little bit. Liberty Return says no team will outshoot the Jazz 4 games.
I challenge you on that. I don't think the Jazz are shooting 40% from 3 in the postseason. Don't think that's happening.
Yeah, this team. Okay, wait.
Hello.
I can't read. This is the team that we all wanted as Jazz fans, Jeremy Bolton says. I can't expect anything less than a championship.
Thank you.
Thank you. John Mulvaney. Porter, Grant really hurt the Jazz aside from Joker and Murray.
Yeah, well, now Grant's not there.
Yeah, Grant's a Piston.
Yeah.
I think Michael Porter Jr. torched this team the last week.
Yeah, he had a great night against them.
Yeah. I would be. They're just.
I want to say he had 30 and 10.
Look, if we're being honest, the issue with the Jazz are they lack athleticism. They do, especially in the 3-4. They lack athleticism, and Rudy Gobert tends to drift defensively. And the one thing that I think you're going to see in the playoffs is teams will attack him physically. And I think we've seen, whether it was New Orleans, Miles Bridges in Charlotte, certainly Joel Embiid in Philly, when the Jazz lose, it's usually centered around Rudy Gobert. It is usually, hey, like he's either in foul trouble or he doesn't give you much offensively. He's having to work really hard defensively.
Yeah.
That's usually what you look at the Portland game. The Portland game was very simply, you got out athleted. You look at Powell, you look at Dame, CJ McCollum, like again, Jordan Clarkson giving up that jumper at the end of the half to CJ McCollum. Can't have that in the postseason.
But
you just can't.
You will.
But hopefully, and with all due respect to Jordan Clarkson and my friends in the Philippines, hopefully Jordan Clarkson isn't playing the volume of minutes in the postseason that he's played here since Don and Conley were hurt. You'd like to see good production in fewer minutes from Jordan Clarkson because he scores or he turns the ball over usually. Right? But seriously, I mean, he does. You guys overvalue the Lakers.
Here we go. So wait, I just want to be really clear.
Okay, wait. So there's some things I'm not going to read in that comment, but you guys overvalue the Lakers. Andre Drummond is an easy check in the post. Okay, so here's my question. Who on the Jazz is checking Andre Drummond? Oh, okay, well, we're going to have Rudy Gobert check Andre Drummond. Okay, then who matches up against Anthony Davis? Well, you would think Bojan Bogdanovic, right?
Or Royce.
No, Royce cannot check him. Because, by the way, who's going to match up against LeBron James?
Yeah, I don't know. Oni?
I
don't know.
It would be Donovan Mitchell.
I guess.
If Donovan's healthy, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so then it's Conley versus KCP. Okay, you probably win that one. What about Dennis Schroeder?
That's where I'd like to see Mitchell. That's where I'd like to see Don.
But then who's going to guard LeBron James?
The team.
You're probably Royce O'Neal.
Yeah. Yeah, right? I don't know, dude. I'm not trying to be difficult. I don't know. Like
the Lakers are a matchup nightmare.
People are. I truly believe. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. I think you guys are sitting here saying, "Oh, well, the Lakers are like the 7-8 seed. They're no problem," and that's just not true. There's a reason they're down there, and there's a reason everyone expects them to be in the NBA Finals.
Yep. Oh, Jordan McDonald, come on, you're better than that. Drummond sucks. Gasol is far better. Do you watch Laker games? Marc Gasol has been a massive disappointment.
Yeah.
He is the problem with Marc Gasol. And by the way, if Marc Gasol's better, why did they go and get Andre Drummond? Because Marc Gasol's not better. Marc Gasol's been slow and he hasn't shot well.
Yeah.
And now they're really playing him a very small window in time.
Yeah, you want to talk about a guy who can't keep up. That's Marc Gasol.
And what you're seeing from Drummond is he doesn't have to score to be a significant, impactful player. Now, he probably is playing with more energy because he's wearing really tight shorts. I don't know. But his rebounding, he creates so many second chance opportunities just by tipping balls on rebounds. And the thing with the Lakers is, and I know this is nuance and people probably don't watch basketball this way, but if you're Andre Drummond and you tip that ball up in the air, especially when Schroeder's playing, it gives your guards who are excellent rebounders, Caruso, KCP, Schroeder, those guys are all great rebounders.
Yeah.
It gives them opportunities to keep plays alive. And the other night, it's Andre Drummond tipping a ball that Schroeder gets, throws a bounce pass to AD in the corner who hits a three. That doesn't happen if Marc Gasol's on the floor. Like, those are the things that are going on with the Lakers. And you're seeing now that they're going to start AD, LeBron, and Andre Drummond to the point where Montrezl Harrell has really been minimized when those three are all healthy and playing together. That's a problem for the rest of the NBA.
And nobody sees it.
Yeah, I agree. Lakers are trash. Caruso is a joke.
Here we go.
Okay. Drummond is happy to be in L.A. Yes, Forgotten Souls he is. John Mulvanian says, Lakers are scary front court. Jazz might have hope drafted rookie would contribute this year. Azubuike. I would agree with that. Mr. Mitch says, I just don't know how far the Jazz can go. Your expectation is awfully high, but shouldn't they be? Yes, they should be.
That's where the expectation should be, but I don't disagree. Like, I definitely have some reservations about how far they can go based on the matchups. It's not an indictment on the Jazz. It's just what the matchups tell us.
Yeah, and I also think you look at, it's really interesting to me that when you look at some of that, like Ace says, you guys really think Drummond is a difference maker for the Jazz had they gotten him?
Yes,
oh, my God.
Yes.
Derek Favors or Andre Drummond?
Andre Drummond, it's not close.
And by the way, that gives you the flexibility against the Lakers to play Rudy and Drummond together.
And Drummond is more athletic than Rudy Gobert is.
I mean, and by the way, Drummond scores the basketball.
Yeah.
He's got a jumper. He's got a one-handed float. He's got the ability to catch lobs and dunk.
And he can pass a little bit, too.
Yeah, he is a far more dynamic player offensively than Rudy or Derek Favors at this point. So I do. All right. By the way.
Okay. All right. We're through the first part of the show.
Relax.
Woo! Okay.
First part of the show, we're an hour and 11 minutes in.
Oh, already?
We are already in. Let me ask you this. Yes, we are still doing the contest, and I can't remember because we've gotten a lot of comments today. Frankly, this show has been very abundant as far as viewers go today. So if you are here, we have a lot of people watching this show right now. Please give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. If you're new to the show, hit subscribe because when we get to 750 subscribers, we are going to give away a PlayStation 5 and one of our logo sweatshirts. And by the way, we should probably get that,
order
it's happening.
Yeah.
So we're giving away one of our logo sweatshirts and a PlayStation 5 when we get to 750 subscribers. So all you have to do, hit subscribe, take a picture of that you are subscribed to our channel, and then tag The Monty Show and SLC Supercars on both Twitter or Instagram. And you're entered to win the Xbox. If you've done that, or the PlayStation, excuse me. If you've done that previously for our Xbox contest, you don't have to re-enter. You're already entered. And all of our new subscribers as well, you're entered as long as you tag us on Twitter or Instagram with a picture showing us that you are subscribed. All right, I think one of the biggest stories of the weekend that we cannot go too far without talking about, Aaron Rodgers versus the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers, if he retired or refused to play, would owe the Packers $30 million. So he's not retiring, in my opinion. What I think you're going to see is that this saga is going to end somehow, some way with Aaron Rodgers not in Green Bay. But I think the real salient point here is, do you know why the Packers didn't trade Aaron Rodgers at the draft? Because they don't have a quarterback to replace him. And what that tells you is, with all due respect, because there's going to be Aggie tears over this, Jordan Love's not ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I'll say the same thing I said the day they drafted him. He'll never be ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL because it's not good enough.
Oh.
And you bring in Blake Bortles and some jamoke off the truck stop that I have never heard of to be your third string quarterback. You're trying to find a guy that you can plug in to just be a stopgap, because I think it's inevitable now that the Green Bay Packers have to trade Aaron Rodgers. And by the way, I know all this stuff in Houston's going on, and it's looking more and more like Tony Busby, the attorney for the women accusing Deshaun Watson, is an ambulance chaser because now there's hardcore written email and text evidence that he offered to start talking about, settling, which means he's looking for a bag, he's looking for paydays. I think Deshaun Watson's going to be available sooner than later. I try to make a 3-team deal that has Aaron Rodgers end up in Denver and Deshaun Watson end up in Green Bay, and some other poor SOB is going to get a whole bunch of draft picks. Because I think you have got to find a way to get Aaron Rodgers out of Green Bay. And it's either going to be the Raiders or it's going to be the Broncos. But you're probably going to have others involved in that trade, because Drew Lock is not going to be an answer for the Green Bay Packers.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Not good enough.
Having said all that, the Packers are a value destination. Any free agent, any quarterback would want to be the starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see exactly what they do. But the other thing to watch here is you look at all the other Packers, there's a lot of those guys who don't want to be there if Aaron's not there. And I think that's one of those stories you have to keep an eye on. your gut right now tells you, where does Aaron Rodgers play football this season?
I think they're going to trade him to the Broncos. I think that's the deal. I think they're waiting till after June to get it done. And I think the Deshaun Watson angle is a viable option for the Packers. I do think that this case against Deshaun has definitely lost some steam, and I think there's a lot of people questioning the legitimacy of it. I think there's been no proof. It's been all talk and no evidence. There's no tapes. There's no recordings. There's nothing. There's an Instagram message essentially that we've seen. So that's why I say, if you're Deshaun, you've done an amazing job holding your water here essentially, and you just got to continue to endure. And if Busby asks for settlements, I guess the choice is very simple. Do you settle and in the public eye accept guilt, or do you not settle and just, go with it? I don't know. Point is that I do think he'll play for the Packers at some point. I think that's an option.
But isn't it sad now that we've gotten to a point where we all kind of agree that this whole Tony Busby, Deshaun Watson, masseuse thing was always about a payday?
Yes.
I think
people were saying that day one.
And you know what? You hate to believe that.
Yeah.
But I think that's exactly what this is. And I think Tony Busby, in my opinion, is a liar. I think he's denied repeatedly, up and down, left and right. I did not initiate settlement talks. Well, now there's emails and text messages that say that ain't true. And you look at the fact he's always attacking Rusty Hardin, the lawyer for Deshaun Watson. This feels like a terrible shakedown.
And that's why,
what this feels like.
You don't see that's why law is so awesome, because it's very simple how things should go, assuming you have evidence, which is, hey, we've got evidence. Okay, there's a whole process to get into court and prove it and have your day, right? And get and have Deshaun be found guilty if it's criminal, or settle it in court or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just been very clear that there's no evidence here. And yes, I am the guy who says, hey, this wouldn't even be a thing if Deshaun Watson wasn't in the room. So to me, he was in the room for sure.
Oh, he
was in the room.
He made
for sure.
a huge mistake there, no doubt. But I think it's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate, and I think Deshaun Watson never recovers from this.
Yeah.
But I also think he's never going to play for the Houston Texans again. And I think Aaron Rodgers is never going to play for the Green Bay Packers again. That's a trade made today.
Perfect.
Aaron Rodgers does not want to be a Houston Texan.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest issue. And if you're the Packers, I don't think you can make that trade without getting a starting quarterback in return. There's nobody on Aaron Rodgers' level that you're going to make that deal for. I think you have to go and get the best available package that you can get. And I think there's not many quarterbacks that are available at this point. That's why I said, you knew this had happened months ago. Why did you not trade him before the draft? Mm-hmm. Because that's when you had your most leverage. I mean,
You're Aaron fucking Rodgers.
I mean, you have all the leverage in the world. And I think, you know what? And I want to say it was Get Up that said this. But Aaron Rodgers knows he has leverage.
Yeah.
Because they don't have anybody that can play quarterback right now. Blake effing Bortles is their backup quarterback right now. And I'm telling you, that's a huge problem.
What are you, nuts?
Yeah, I mean, Blake Bortles is going to be your starting quarterback in Green Bay, and the answer is yes, he is.
Apparently.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah.
All right, two more things real quick before we get out of here. We had a steakhouse experience over the weekend. So we have been going out to dinner much more frequently. And, yeah, we had some things to celebrate. We made a pile of money, I'm a pimp. All of
but being,
being me is pretty freaking amazing. So we go out to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh! My mind is blown!
Everything was amazing. Yeah, the dessert was a C-.
Yeah.
Everything else was amazing. Service, steak, T-bone with a filet and a strip. Amazing.
And the shrimp on top.
Shrimp on top was great.
Mac and cheese was bomb.
Went to Mastro's Ocean Club in Las Vegas at City Center. Amazing.
Yeah.
Then this past weekend, we went to Fleming's in downtown Salt Lake. Won't make that mistake again. Fleming's at City Creek, I think it is. Very difficult to find. Gateway, thank you. Very difficult to find. Could not figure, like, park the car in the garage, couldn't find it.
I try to stay calm and not curse.
The food was good, not great. Like, and I'm not an au gratin potato fan, but they have, it's Fleming's au gratin potatoes. Oh, my God, get erect. No. Give me some. I might need a little blue pill then. I don't know. Because the au gratin potatoes were no aphrodisiac. The steak was okay. I would call myself a connoisseur of New York strips. Okay. I don't know that I've ever said this out loud, and maybe this means that I am not the fat ass I used to be. The New York cheesecake was okay.
Bro.
It was okay.
Dude, what are you talking about?
It was not.
me.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
It was okay.
What do you
and
mean?
it's probably because I had to wait forever to find the restaurant. Then we sat down and we had a square for a waiter. Nice guy.
As you can see, there's not much hope for you left.
You called the guy a square, bro.
But he was a nice guy, but, you know, like it.
The truth is, I'm actually a modest person.
Yeah, I mean, he's no me, right? He's no me. He's not, you know.
Yeah.
It was just okay.
Uh-huh.
It was $251.
Uh-huh.
It's just okay.
Empty. The opposite of full.
You know what? Like, I don't know. It was okay. It wasn't Dreamberry.
Well, nothing is,
but
though.
Look, even the shrimp that came on top of the steak. At Ruth's Chris, it was amazing. The shrimp that came on top of the steak at Fleming's was fishy. You know, it wasn't seasoned well. It wasn't. Mine was just sauteed in butter, which is fine. I didn't want the Diablo.
Right.
I don't want that heat.
Uh-huh.
It was just okay. Ruth's Chris, B+, A-.
Uh-huh.
Mastro's Ocean Club, Vegas, A+. Across the board.
Uh-huh.
I just, you know, like at Fleming's,
All right, we're going to move on here.
they don't sell out to make it an unbelievable experience.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I just think that you got all mad that we couldn't find it. And I just felt like that was because we had never been there before. Like, I don't actually think it was that hard to find. Like, in normal times, they have a valet. It's really easy to walk up to it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, so that part didn't bother me as much. Yeah, you know, nothing is going to live up to Mastro's. Nothing. It's unfair to compare Fleming's
well, and
to
we
Mastro's.
need to go to Morton's because you've never been to Morton's.
And I want to go to Lowry's.
Yeah, you've never been to the Prime
Never
Rib.
been to Lowry's either.
And finally, went to Costco yesterday.
Uh-oh.
Didn't go downtown. Just went to the one in Sandy, Utah.
Utah.
No mask mandate anymore.
The coronavirus.
Then I come home and I don't have a life, so I'm on social media. Insta snap face. I see a video of F- star Rick Schroeder.
Okay.
NYPD Blue fame, Silver Spoons fame.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Attacking a Costco employee because in California, at Costco, you still have to wear a face mask. And he thought that was un-American and it's against the law and, you know, my ass, your face, like this whole thing. He videotapes himself berating a Costco employee. And he's like, I want a refund for my membership. So the manager walks out and gives him a refund for his membership. Peace out, bro. Enjoy Sam's Club. Right? Like,
see you later.
What are you doing?
I personally would like an apology.
And so I'm like, okay, cool. Hey, if you don't want to wear a mask, don't go to Costco.
Yeah.
And this is the thing I'm struggling with. We went to the gym yesterday because, yes, I lift. And we were the only ones in the entire gym at Vaza Fitness wearing a mask.
Legit.
And I felt like uncomfortable wearing my mask.
Uh-huh.
Because I felt like, and I don't know about you, and I don't think I even told you this, I felt like people were staring at us. Like looking at us like, hey, man, what you doing in here with a mask on?
Uh-huh.
Like looking at us, like, I'm going to wear a mask in public because that's what I'm comfortable with. So here's my question. Why do you care that I'm wearing a mask? Why do you care that, hey, you want to shop at Costco? How long are you in there? Half an hour? Put on a mask for half an hour. Why do you care, Rick Schroeder? Right? Harmon's yesterday. We go to Harmon's. Now, that's my grocery store of choice.
Yeah.
Don't have to wear a mask anymore.
Uh-huh.
Most people in Harmon's, to their credit, I felt like had masks on.
Mm-hmm. I still feel like a good portion of people wear them.
I just don't understand why this is a big deal. And why wearing a mask, why is wearing a mask controversial in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, I think that you have a couple types of people. The first person is the person who gets all upset about it and says it like violates rights and stuff. And those are always the people that we hear about on social media, like that dude you were talking about. And I think that there's always going to be people like that. I think you have the second person who doesn't really care about the politics of it, is just more concerned about their personal safety. And they're saying, hey, I'm not comfortable wearing it yet, so I'm going to keep wearing it. And that's that. And then you have the third person who doesn't care about the politics, but also isn't as worried about it, so they don't wear their mask. And so it's just kind of this whole thing where we have this, as usual in our country, this like diverging melting pot of opinions or perspective on things. And you've got one sect of that just seems to be offended and gets all pissed off by it.
Exactly.
And that's what we always hear from when the vast majority, and this is what I say about like like the Trump camp and all those folks. We hear about them and it feels like there's a lot of them, but when you start to look at like the election and like just the sentiment, the bigger group is people who just want to be safe. We just don't hear from them, and that's really the funniest part about it.
Ooh, the bacon is available in the Sneakers app. The Air Max 90 bacon is available in the Sneakers app right now. It's for sale. I just got the notification.
Not all of us get the bacon for free, so you know.
Well, look, not all of us are as good looking as me.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm on that. I am on that. I'll take 2 pairs for sure. I'm in line. Dang it. I'm in line. See, Nike's doing this, not to completely divest of the mask conversation. Nike is randomly dropping shoes just to see if you're paying attention. Like, why are you?
Yeah, I don't have the bacon in my app.
I do. It's not available to you?
No.
Oh, go to the feed. You got to go to the feed, bro.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, go to the feed. Go, hurry up. It's available.
Yeah.
I think I'm more the thermal white.
You don't want it?
No.
You don't want... Oh, my... No. See, okay, so we're hiring a co-host for this show. You must have better taste in shoes than this guy over here. The bacon's hot. Anyway.
Okay, fuck you.
All right. Okay, here we go. Steve says, I thought this was a sports show.
Here we go. Every time.
Brylark says, like anti-mask, anti-Asian correlation. I would agree that there is some... I think there's some of that. I absolutely agree with that. Derek Gray says, come on, guys. I thought we follow the science. If you're vaccinated, you don't need a mask, right?
Well, sure, but I also think that you know, why is it a problem that he wants to wear his mask? Like sure,
Yeah.
like why do you have such an issue? I'm not trying to personally attack like you. I just mean like, you know,
In
like
general.
generally speaking, like why is the concept, hey, this person is fully vaccinated on the Pfizer vaccine. They have both shots, but they still would like to wear their mask. Like, why is that a problem? Why do we judge people?
A,
for
why
that?
do you care? But B,
Yeah.
the science behind wearing a mask is it's not about vaccines do not prevent you from getting the coronavirus. You understand that, right? Vaccines mitigate the impact that the virus has on your system. So what we know is that when you're fully vaccinated, it's almost impossible for you to transmit the virus. You know, like it is almost impossible of you to give the virus. You can still get the coronavirus.
Right.
So
for
wearing
you,
a mask is personal. If you're vaccinated, like me, I'm vaccinated, I got the Pfizer vaccine. I'm wearing my mask because I'm not playing basketball right now with other people because I don't want to get the coronavirus. I don't.
So then the next question would be, and I'm just giving you an opportunity to explain this. The next question then would be from somebody like these people in the comments. It would be, okay, well, what was the point of getting the vaccine if you're not going to, you know?
I'm living my life, though. I'm traveling. We went to Las Vegas. I'm going out to eat. I'm trying to support local business. I'm not just sitting around. I'm at the gym 6 days a week now. I'm not just sitting around doing nothing, but I'm also not just going to go out willy-nilly and live like there's no worry in the world. I am going to wear my mask because I don't want to get the coronavirus. The variants alone should terrify you. And I understand that the CDC has said, hey, if you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask anymore. That's all well and good. But look at what's going on around the world. Have you seen that, like, Turkey's essentially closed their borders now? Are you looking at what's going on in India, where they cannot vaccinate fast enough, and they have so many variants in India right now that they can't control it. I'm going to wear a mask. I am going to wear a mask. Jeremy Bolton says, good point, Jake. Exactly why do people care? I don't know.
What is
I do not know.
Like, cool, you disagree with his logic, let's say. But why is it that you have to like look down on, like, why is it that, and I don't know why they were looking at us. I noticed that people look at us too. Why is
I thought it was because of our good looks.
Hey, maybe it was. Hopefully it is. I don't know. But like I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't know why it has to be an issue. Like, it doesn't need to be that way.
Yeah, I don't know either. I really don't. But anyway, that is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Jake coughing still has the coronavirus.
Yes.
I would agree with you.
Symptoms.
Tanner Plummer says, Monty, you should run for president. Nah, I'm good.
No, The Rock's going to do that for him.
It shortens your life. It does. Mikey says, boy, you guys have it all on this show, don't you?
Well.
True. He says, I wear my mask all the time because I work in an open environment room where I am worried that other people lie about being vaccinated.
Well, that's a great point.
I also agree people lie about being vaccinated. I do, you know.
Yeah.
By the way, we did make the, if you follow us on Instagram, you should. We both made our trash can basketball shot yesterday.
Yeah, it was pretty legit.
It was impressive.
It was awesome.
Right,
it was clutch.
Play the song.
Okay.
Play the song.
It's playing.
Before we leave.
Yeah.
Will the Jazz win an NBA championship this year?
No.
Will they go to the Western Conference Finals?
Yes.
No and no.
Wow, you're cold, bro. You got to end the show that way so tomorrow they come into the comments crushing you.
Yes, we're still giving away a PS5. Why is a PS5 so much hotter than an Xbox?
I don't get it. It's not that it's that much greater of a machine.
Ooh! How many subscribers we got now, bruh?
Damn.
We are moving. 676.
Wow. Impressive performance today.
Ooh.
Okay.
Make sure you hit subscribe.
You better get that unit from India, bro.
Kazakhstan, thank you.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Make sure you hit subscribe because we're going to pick one of our 700 when we get to 750.
It may be Monday.
One of our subscribers, one of our subscribers is going to win a PS5 and one of our brand new clothing line, our elevated clothing. We're going to give you a brand new sweatshirt. Beautiful sweatshirt, too. So get ready for that. Hit subscribe, take a picture, put it on Twitter, tag the Monty Show and SLC Supercar. Until tomorrow. Say, wear your mask, Jake.
Wear your mask, Jake.